Hi, I'm Yillian, and this is me on books. It is now the end of week 2, and I have 2 more books to tell you about. A part of me is starting to wish that this lockdown never ends, so I can spend all my time reading forever. But unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end, although the end of this one is still not announced. But enough about that. Let's look at the books I have read this week. The first book was an Afrikaans book, so I'm going to do this review in Afrikaans. If you don't understand Afrikaans, please feel free to skip ahead to the next book. Noem dit liefde deur Adam Timmerman was definitief nie die beste boek wat ek al gelees het nie. As ek dit in een woord kan opsom, sal dit heel waarskynlik melodramaties moet wees. Die karakters was ongeloofwaardig en die dialoog het op plekke onnatuurlik gevoel. Daar is tegnies niks fout met die storielyn nie, maar die manier hoe dit oorgedra is en die karakters se handeling het ver te kort geskiet. Om eerlik te wees, ek het gevoel ek lees 'n kind se opstel wat sy onnie probeer oortuig van hoe ongelooflik sy woordeskat is, in plaas van 'n boek wat geniet moet word. Ek sal hierdie boek definitief nie aanbeveel as jy wil ontspan nie. I once read that the English-speaking world is divided into 2 groups, those that have read The Lord of the Rings and those that are still going to. Now, I've fallen under the first group since somewhere in high school. I remember buying that first book, Fellowship of the Ring, just before the movie was released, because I knew I wanted to read the book before watching the movie. Now, that next Christmas, my parents gave me The Hobbit, and I think I've been a fan of Tolkien ever since then. Which obviously mean that whenever I'm in a bookstore and I find anything written by Tolkien, I just have to buy it. Which also means that I have some very obscure stories written by him. But the second and last book for this week does not fall under this category. This was J.R. Tolkien's Tales from a Perilous Realm. It is a collection of stories that has very little to do with his more famous works, but are still fantastical on their own and were a lot of fun reading. There are 5 short stories collected in this book. Rover Random is a story about a little dog's adventures to strange worlds, typically a story that could be read to your children at bedtime, but will still be enjoyed by both you and your children. Next was Farmer Giles of Ham, a story about a farmer that, due to some luck and the ability to negotiate his way out of almost any situation, becomes this great hero. Then the only story with any connection to Middle Earth is The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which is actually a collection of 16 poems, some of which are referenced in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So always fun to read all of those. Then the 4th story was probably my favorite. Smith of Wootton Major tells the story of a man's journey to Faerie. I think I enjoyed this one the most because it felt believable, as if this could have happened to me and I just forgot about it. The last story was a bit strange. Leaf of Nigel is about a man called Nigel who tries to paint the perfect tree. But before he can finish, he needs to go on this mysterious journey to somewhere and then ends up living in his own painting. Strange, but somehow enlightening. The book ends with a very academical essay written by Tolkien about fairy tales and their origins. Unless you are into academical analysis, I strongly suggest you skip that part of the book. Overall, this was an interesting book to read and just proves once again why so many people believe Tolkien to be one of the best writers to have ever lived. All 5 of these short stories could be read to and enjoyed by children, and is definitely a book I would consider including in my bedtime story list. that seems to be it for this week. I hope everyone is keeping safe and healthy. If you like this video, remember to like it, share it, and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Enjoy your lockdown and keep on reading.